Yes, today's guest is a young coach who's making his way in the game, has a great reputation already. It's Adam McWilliam. Adam has previously worked with Montrose FC in their Community Trust programme before moving on to Southampton FC, and now works as School Partnership Officer for the Manchester United Foundation. Adam, how are you doing?
Yeah, good. Good. It's good to be able to kind of finally catch up with you and hear the work that you guys are doing in the community
Brilliant.
as well.
Brilliant. Where are you based just now, Adam?
So I'm back at the moment. I'm back with the folks. Just until I find place to go in Manchester. Probably not the most ideal time to be moving about. Trying to find a place, but yeah. So finished with Southampton, came back up. It's been great to see them, and yeah, looking forward to getting started in Manchester soon.
Brilliant. How's lockdown been, Adam?
It's actually been. I'm quite fortunate. The folks stay out in the countryside, so got plenty of. To be honest, I've got no excuses not to go for a run anymore. Normally it's too busy at this, but now I've got no excuses. So I'm just trying to stay fit best I can. And United have been brilliant, and they've been saying I can do a bit of work from home at the moment. So yeah, no, it's been lucky. I've been very very fortunate. What about yourself?
Yeah, no, it's been fine. Been really busy. I've been doing a lot of Zoom sessions, been doing a lot of stuff online, and then since we've been allowed back outside, I've been doing a few bits and pieces as well. Never stop, though, never stop. Um, I saw you put something on Twitter a few weeks ago. Your back garden was a big football pitch that you made.
It was a heady tennis court actually. Yeah, so again, my brother's down as well. He's quite big on football. So yeah, I've been back. Been trying to play a bit of heady tennis with him. Mum and dad played. Not football tennis as much, but they play tennis. So thought I'd see what I could do. Put a few bits of wood together, try and put a wee net. Then I had to take the net off the goal though, which wasn't ideal. But yeah, put a wee net together. So I've been trying. So that's one of the things, try to be fit. But honestly, you take off. I don't know how some of the kids imagine to do it. You take a couple of weeks off and technique just disappears. It helps if you had it in the first place. But yeah, I remember the first game, looking at the first couple of rallies, all hitting the shin and going everywhere. I'm blaming the baubles to be fair.
Heady tennis is a great game, isn't it? To encourage
Oh,
technique.
so good. I mean, different parts of the ball, different ways you can receive it, movement, both feet, competitiveness. Sometimes perhaps a bit too much competitiveness from some, but especially when the lines aren't marked out properly. When you've had to do them how you hand in the lines in S. But if there's any kids that potentially can do it, I mean, you've seen the picture that I put up. It's literally just a couple of bits of wood, something that, as long as you've got a net in a small area, doesn't really matter. You can on one side it's a little bit bigger than the other. Just make sure you change sides. Nothing needs to be perfect. I think that's the biggest thing in lockdown training that I've found, and whether doing some myself or looking at other people, is doesn't need to be perfect. It doesn't need to be a full 11-a-side goal. It doesn't need to be a size 5 football. You know, it can be just make do with what you've got and do the best. So that's what I was trying to do anyway. But no, it's worked out all right.
Brilliant. I enjoyed seeing it. I was going to ask you if you missed football, but from what you just said there, it sounds like you do massively.
Yeah, massively. So I played quite a bit when I was in Scotland before I moved. And then when I first went to Southampton, I stopped playing for must have been a couple of months just because I wanted to commit 100% towards the job. You know, I was going into somewhere completely new where no one knew my name, no one knew anywhere. So I really wanted to make sure that I was doing the best that I could and didn't want to get distracted in anything. So I just went down and worked weekends. I still worked weekends towards the end, but Saturday, Sundays out delivering session, going and watching, being asked to go and watch some of the academy games and asking them and testing the guys there to go and watch and stuff. So eventually it took me a while to find a team, but once I got more settled, I was able to. So yeah, I'm used to kind of going maybe a couple of months without football, but I'm potentially going to have to do the same when I go to United, and I just want to make the best impression I can. So football might have to go on the back burner a little bit, but based on fitness levels, that might not be the best thing.
It's tough. I've got coach's fatigue, I've called it. I'm
Oh,
knackered. I'm knackered after going so long without coaching and then going back into coaching. Yeah, it's been knackering. I was going to ask you if you managed to do any coaching virtually during the break.
and I've not got a team. Yeah, because with the situation at United, nothing's really officially started yet. So they've been brilliant and they've done loads of kind of CPDs and helping with things like that. I've done a couple of virtual talks with. I did one with Montrose under 16s. my old team at Montrose Youth Academy that I coached, and they're doing some amazing stuff. I know that Gary and Andy are working incredibly hard, and so the whole club is, to make sure that their players are still getting the best education that they can, and still making sure that them players are developing the best they can, which is, I know a lot of clubs, it's so good to see. I mean, Dundee United and Aberdeen and all these clubs, some of the things you're seeing yourself, it's been brilliant to see what other clubs are doing. But in terms of myself, I've not been delivering much actual sessions. No, I've left that to the guys in their teams. But I'm more than help out with anything I can.
You're hired, Adam. When can you start? Listen, we've got a mutual friend in Josh Patterson. Josh has done a few sessions for 360, filmed and put them out. He's also going to help us out when we get back to it. He's going to become a coach. So what a great young man. It must have been a pleasure to work with guys like that when you were at Montrose.
100%. I mean, if you just take him as a player, forget about how great he is as a kid. As a player, so intelligent, great technically. I'm not gonna talk about too much, but head's big enough as it is. But great player, very good technically. As I said, clever and as a person, work rate was just incredible. Never got any bother from him. You asked him to perhaps do something, and you know what I mean. Sometimes in almost too good a way, you'd be like, yeah, of course, no worries. Sometimes you want your players to challenge you a little bit. You want players to go, oh, why do I need to do that? And as I start to work with him and as he starts to get more confident, and you'll see that more now being a coach, and as he more does his coaching, he'll start to understand that, the why that we do things are sometimes more important than the actual activity themselves. Understanding what's the purpose of them, what's our outcomes as a player. But no, I've got absolutely no worries that Josh will be an excellent coach. He's got two young brothers who they actually came to some of our camps at Montrose during the holidays. I was basically last year, but I've been away a year and a half. Would have been a couple of years ago now, and they're both great wee players as well. They'll both be challenging Josh soon enough.
Yeah, Ollie comes to 360. I think he's better than me.
No, Ollie was absolutely brilliant. What a character as well. But no, the whole family. I mean, his mum and dad and that were looked after him incredibly well, and they were always approachable, always what was in Josh's best interests, and that's the best thing. I think of the reason why Josh has been able to progress so well is everyone around him just wants what's best for him, and he wants what's best for himself as well. So no, I've no doubt you'll do well as well as a coach with yourself.
Adam, are you asking me for a pay rise already after that?
Well, to be fair, you might deserve one because he was getting on at me.
Right, Adam. Keen to dial it back a little bit and just see how you got started in football. I take it you played when you grew up.
Yeah, football. Typical story. Football was literally one of our earliest memories. Loved playing it, whether it was in the garden, whether it was just at school, anywhere. I actually played quite a lot of sports growing up. Mum and dad were brilliant. Whether it was try to give me as much opportunities as I could. I played squash when I was younger. Went for a game actually in Southampton, fitness levels, wow. I can't believe that's completely different to football. And also played a bit of rugby, a little bit, very little. Chucked that after it got too physical. Anyone who's coached me as a football player knows that physicality is not really my cup of tea. But yeah, I played football and played a lot of sports when I was younger. Staying for Brecon as a youngster, they were my grassroots team, which I was surprised actually when you think all the stuff I'm doing with Montrose and how much I've got such a soft spot in. I love Montrose Football Club. It was actually Brecon Youth that started there, and we had a great team. We had a great coach with Jack and Dave and the guys there, and it was just amazing. And I think that grassroots environment as a younger player, installing that love of the game is so important. And I think that what grassroots coaches do, and especially now that they've got Fun 4s and Super 5s, which we didn't have when I was younger. How older I'm doing that, but back in my day, but no, we didn't have that. And the grassroots coaches now, the job that they've got is so important and can't be underestimated. Their job of installing a love of the game. As I say, whether it's myself, they don't produce a player like myself, but they might help install such a love that they want to do it full time in their careers. So no, I was very, very lucky that I had great coaches growing up. Then I went to Dundee United and Dundee, their youth academies, only on trial at Dundee United. Didn't work out. Then went Dundee, there for quite a long time actually. again, loved my time there. It was a completely different environment. Being within a youth academy setup, again, gave me so much experience, so much learning, working with some of the coaches there. Then eventually went to Montrose. We were actually one of the first. Kind of obviously they used to have a few academies, and then it kind of stopped for a bit, and then they started up again with Andy Heggie and a few of the guys there, and George Shields was the manager at the time, and he was very kind of heavily informed with that. So, and then went to Cove. Cove was the next kind of venture once, because Montrose didn't have that bracket age group, and it's probably somewhere where a lot of clubs are struggling now, especially kind of in Scotland. I know they're changing it with that. Once you're under 17s or under 18s, you jump between under 18s to first team football, regardless of whether it's League Two, Premier League, conference down in England. It's massive. So I was very lucky to be able to get the opportunity to play for an under 20s league with Cove, and they merged a little bit with the first team players. So that was such a great stepping stone for myself, being able to work with a little bit of first team players and with them, and then back to Montrose first team. Kind of where it started. Didn't work out for us, loads of different things, a little bit of injury, a little bit of unluckiness, a little bit of not lack of ability for myself in some parts, and didn't take opportunities, and went back to junior football, and then moved down to England to start playing there. But no, I think having such a wide variety of clubs, whether it was grassroots, academy, pro youth, first league to competitive, senior, semi-pro, junior, having all that, it's just been so good for me as a coach, and definitely wouldn't change it for the world now, especially being a coach now that I'm looking at young players and seeing how they can develop and appreciate what each level is, and what they can take from it. I think a lot of players think youth academy is the be all and end all, and a lot of coaches think that grassroots is where they're going to learn the best. And I think for me, it's just trying to find that balance. Find the balance. As long as the players are loving it, I was very fortunate to love every minute that I played football. Actually, I'll take that back. Most of the minutes I played football, there was a couple of tough ones in there, but that's the level that was able to get.
Adam, you're talking about like fun fours and stuff. Didn't even have 7-a-side when I was younger. That's the age gap between us, right? It was 11-a-side, full pitch. Listen, let's go back a wee bit to your grassroots days. Did you play with Ryan Gold and John Suter in that Brecon team, or were they a different team?
No, yeah, it was the same team. We had a team. As I say, under with Jack, and we managed to do really well. And I think that we managed to find a really good balance between. And again, it kind of goes back to kind of grassroots coaching, where a really good balance between having a really good team and working together, but also producing really good individuals that were then ready to make that step up. Because you look at it, there's not a team, there's no apart from Man United have done really well producing a cluster of players, and Southampton done at that stage, but very rarely do you see a team move up each age group and all the way into first team. So it's about producing individuals. And I think we managed to find a really good balance between having unbelievable players such as Ryan and John and Milne and players like that, and Sparky now, who's also at Elgin, a bit of time at Brecon. But we've had some great players, and I was very lucky to be able to play with them, and so good to see them now absolutely smashing it.
What position did you play at grassroots and when you moved up as well?
So we played kind of, I'd say it was 7-a-side, so very much kind of a striker. More of a 4-2-3-1. It was kind of it's kind of a go-to 7-a-side formation. Did I say 4-2-3-1?
Yeah, 2-3-1. Yeah, I know what you meant.
No wonder we won so many games. We were 11 boys on the pitch. 2-3-1, and I was probably the one at the top, the one watching all these boys do all the work, and then just tapping it in, giving it the big celebration at the end. But then as I kind of went older, it became a little bit kind of in between kind of different positions, whether it was centre mid or going out wide. And I think that as I got older, also being more of a coach and being able to go on these amazing courses that the SFA are running, and you'd be able to understand more other positions. Whether I can do different positions is up to the manager, but I think my understanding of more positions is a lot better. At wing back, I think I've played about 2 games at wing back.
The graveyard shift.
Never been me. Never that. But yeah, no, forward days. It was mainly playing forward. Was when I was growing up.
See, looking back on it, can you see differences in the way you were coached or the style that you were coached compared to now, what you're learning as a coach from either a coaching course or just looking at it externally as a coach? Do you know what I mean? So is there differences in what's taught?
I think it's a difficult one because as a player, you want to play games. You turn up and you want to play games, and the warm up and the activities and the practices, all that is, to use the word tick box is almost more a bit unfair, but especially a young player, you turn up and you just want to play games. And that 20-30 minute at the end of each session is why you turn up. And I think that as you kind of got old, you start to appreciate more why you do things. But I think that Jack was and Dave and that were so good in the sense that we always knew why we were doing something. It was always late recently we've not really been doing so well at this. So what I think we can maybe try and get a little bit better at it, and the wording they used was key. And I think that the style of coaching was probably different for myself, and because obviously I was myself and John were quite good friends, and Jack he was definitely harsher on John. John will say that, but being the typical coach's son. But the style that he used for us was always so good, and I think that he would obviously his experience playing the game, but it still would definitely suit players nowadays. And I think that the biggest thing that coaches do now, perhaps slightly differently, is because of courses that SFA are managing to put on, and you guys are incredibly lucky at the East region to have Ross and Gav and Kev and Fez and Neil and the amazing team that you guys have got there, that they do tend to ask players more questions. I think that's the way that I've found it, is players get a lot more ownership over their own learning, or they should do anyway. Listen, guys, we've done this practice a couple of weeks ago, or guys, what did you think of today's session? They ask a lot more questions. Oh, it was good. It was okay. Oh, what was okay about it? What did you find this way? And I actually seen a really good thing from a coach down in Southampton. He takes his son plays for grassroots. Gary, he's an excellent coach, and he posted a video. So he sent all of his players a question and just said, name the best 3 things, or the 3 things you're missing about our training. And they all sent videos back, and every single one of them said game. They said they got 3 things to choose from, and every single one of them said, oh, I missed playing the games. A couple of them came back and said, oh, that cross and finishing drill that we did, or it was, oh, remember that game that we played. But it was really, really interesting. I think that gave kind of Gareth eyes that kind of looking at going, well, what we can do, we can now bed in the things that we love, the thing that kids love, and engagement's going to be there because the thing that they love. How can we then start to add in our detail and add in the development side of it from an engagement's already there? But maybe I picked up your question wrong there, but in terms of what Jack and that did, it was very much us focused. It was never guys, I've decided, I'm the coach, I'm doing this, we're doing this today because that's what I think. It was very much, we got so much discussion, and coaches need to 100%, again, it's so cliche, I know the SFA use it a lot, but leave the ego at the door. You're there for them. It's their book, you're just a chapter in it. They're not a chapter in your book. I think that's the best thing. And I think a lot of coaches now, led by kind of the SFA and the courses they're doing, are doing really well at it.
Brilliant. Good shout out for the SFA guys in the region who do a great job. I think you're right. I think it's more of cooperative learning. So you're teaching, but they're also teaching at the same time, or also learning at the same time, instead of you just instructing all the time. It's a good way to put it. See, when you went to Dundee, what was the coaching like there? What was the focus on? Was it technical, physical? Did you have to be really fit? Tactical, or was it just a mix of all 3? What did you learn the most?
I was there because I was there for so long. I was trying to think that I probably was trying to wrap my brain. I probably tried to do the maths in my head. But I was there for years, so it changed quite a lot. Craig Ferret was probably my main coach that I had for the longest. Then he also worked for the SFA. And Fez is brilliant. I think he was a really young coach actually when I think about it. When he was taking us, and it was a lot of technical stuff. It was a lot of passing stuff, a lot of repetition of technique. I think when you're younger, I think that's good. I think that one of the things that I love and always comes up since there's Arsene Wenger's quote that he's came up and said, when we teach kids to play, and especially when they're younger, teach them the technical skill. So we teach them how to pass, how to dribble, how to shoot. We then teach them how to make decisions. So right, guys, now that you can pass and you can dribble, you can shoot, we're now going to put a defender in front of you. And which one do you think is the best one to do at this time? So the folk that are using their skills now, that they're the technique, now make the right decisions. And then the last one that we kind of go, once you can make decisions, we then teach them kind of how can you analyse? How soon can you make them decisions? Can you make the decision when the ball's there? And I scan and analyse, and this is the picture that I've got. The ball then comes to me. I then make my decision, and then finally release the ball to the technique. So that tends to be the order. However, in a game, if I was to pass the ball to you, the first thing you need to do is analyse. You then make your decision. That the last thing you actually need to do is the technique. So now, listen, there's so many arguments you could throw out there, and in no way, shape, or form that we should be telling our 4, 5, 6, 7-year-olds, guys, we're going to analyse today. We're not going to touch the ball because our technique's the last thing. It's not the ball. But I do think that as coaches and when I think about my time at Dundee and all the other clubs, I think that good things could we have used more decision making and more analysis within not just repetitive technique. I think that it was brilliant, and at the time it was brilliant. And I got so much better technically, especially as I got older. We looked a lot more tactical stuff. But I think that as coaches nowadays, and I think that myself definitely, as soon as we spoke about this kind of model that Wenger, before we went from Wenger, and it does make you think, can we, yes, within our games, yes, within teaching technique, but regardless of the age, can we do it in little forms of making them scan, making them check their shoulder. The best game I've seen was TIG, and maybe obviously it'd be hard to do in lockdown, but TIG with a football. In England they call it tag. I called it TIG, and I got 20 looks from like, what game are we playing? Bib in the back, and then you've got a ball, and you're dribbling, and I'm trying to steal someone else's. Someone's trying to steal mine. So I'm constantly looking around to see if someone's stealing mine, and I just love it. It's one of when the pre-academy under 8s that we played, it's one of their favourite games. They're analysing, but they're still taking loads of touches, and that technique is still so important. So perhaps a kind of a long-winded answer, but Dundee, I think it was good, and at the time it was really good. But I think that football's changed so much, and as I say, I think at the time it was brilliant, and it was kind of in the way of what it was. But I think now that it's changed, perhaps would things have been done differently? Yes, of course they would. But that's in 10 years' time, we'll be looking at it and going, what we're doing. We'd watch videos of sessions nowadays and go, what are we doing? What are they doing there? So,
yeah, I know. If there's any 360 parents watching, they'll be like, we've played that game at 360 because that's exactly what we tried to do. Age and stage appropriate, obviously, and making it fun as well. Absolutely. The game's changed. Coaching methods haven't necessarily changed and really have to. So repetition's great, but there needs to be a structure there to build on that. So totally agree with you. So did you play with anybody who went on to make a career in the game at Dundee?
Yeah, our age was a really tough one because it feels like a lifetime ago, but when Dundee went into administration, there's a lot of effects there. So we only really had one that made it all the way into the first team in Cammy Kerr. Cam only, and obviously he's done exceptionally well, getting vice captain, and there's no question about whether he deserves it or not. The boy's literally Dundee through and through, and very technically good player as well. I think he gets a lot of there's a lot of jokes about him just being a worker, but no, he's technically very good, and he 100% deserves it. But yeah, I think there was a lot of things affected with the youth academy, and Dundee went into administration, and it was a shame for a lot of players, perhaps not myself as much as some others, but there were some other brilliant players, and they were perhaps a little bit more affected than than some. But no, Cammy definitely stood out, and he was one that the club kind of took a bit of a gamble on when he played above himself by quite a bit and went on to do really well. So no, Cammy's done very well.
Good stuff. And see, when you were at Dundee, did you practice on your own in your own time? Did you try and hone your craft? You know, the old ball and wall thing, or did you not do anything like that?
Not enough, from being honest. I did. I pride myself on being someone who works to get better at everything they do. But I think that's really kind of came on these last kind of 5, 6, 7 years since I've kind of gone into coaching more. 100%. If I looked back, and I had no excuse, absolutely no excuse. I had mum and dad who were willing to drive me here, there, and everywhere. The games, the training, the go. There was a one-to-one session. So I had no real excuse. But looking back, I'd definitely have done more. Potentially, I'd say ball and wall. My brother was brilliant as well. He'd always be out for going to train and stuff. But when you look at the Dutch model that they've came out, and they're saying that, and there's an article written, I won't go into it, especially if there's young kids watching, you'll be bored as anything and listen to this. But they've said that in order to make it as they've said elite player, but what elite player is who knows what that word means anymore. You need to take 10,000 of touches of the ball a day. So they're recommending 10,000 touches a day. Now, that's a lot. But when you think about a session, you think about 20 minutes of ball mastery at the start of your session, and you're just constantly there taking loads. Probably not that much, or you probably wouldn't be far off it. So it's definitely something for coaches perhaps think about. I can maybe send you the link if you want to post it around. The article, and they talked about averaging about 10,000 touches a day, and to really make it, give you an expert at the ball. So for all those listening at home, you can maybe make a wee challenge of first to hit 10,000 or something. I don't know what you could do off the back, but that's kind of the levels that you're looking at. So there's one thing going out, and again, using that phrase, tick a box of going in. Okay, let's put that video up. I'm going to give it a try. I'm going to do it once. Record yourself doing it. Put it on Twitter. You get a few likes, and it's all brilliant. But is that really, how much is it helping you? Are you that person that's doing it, and then going out an hour later to do it again? Going out 2 hours later to keep doing it and keep doing it. And so the whole ball and wall. I think, did I do it enough as a player? Probably not. Potentially that's why I didn't make it as much as others did. But as I say, for all those kids at home watching this, 10,000 touches a day, not one day and then you take a couple of days off. 10,000 a day. That's the standard they've set.
Brilliant. That's great advice, Adam. Absolutely brilliant. After you left Dundee, you went to Montrose. Mm-hmm. So how did you then transition from being a player to a coach? Was there a big gap between you joining Montrose and doing that, or was it something that you did pretty much straight away?
I joined Montrose as a player, went to the under-19s, and then from there, I was looking. I knew I was going to do coaching as a potential career. So whether I didn't expect it to kind of take me to where it has today, but I was speaking to the first team manager at the time, George Shields. He put me in touch with Peter Davidson, who's obviously the CEO of it was Links Park Community Trust then, it's Montrose Community Trust now, and to say that Pete's been up there with one of the biggest influences in my career would be an understatement. He gave me the first opportunity and allowed me to get to kind of where I am, and I was very lucky again. Like I say, I keep using the phrase luck, and I was to have the people around me. So the transition from playing to coaching was really easy for me because I had people that trusted me and people that gave me the opportunity to do so. I think that having an opportunity, especially then nowadays, to get an opportunity, you can't take it for granted. And all those young coaches, and like I'd say to Josh, like yourself, giving them an opportunity to go and do stuff. You're not giving it to everybody. Not everyone's got that. You've been given it, take it, and it's like same with players. A player's get an opportunity to go and try something new, or a coach is giving up their extra time to go and do it. Don't take it for granted. So I know I was very lucky. Pete kind of looked after me massively there, and Logan and Jen, the team at Links Park, Montrose Community Trust, to keep doing that. Pete's going to have a word with me, but the transition from playing to coach was really easy. It wouldn't have been the same for a lot of people, I don't think. but also being quite young myself, playing, but I started to realise I wasn't going to make it as a player. I think that was one of the hardest decisions, and one of the hardest things to accept was kind of being an 18, 19-year-old, even 17, 18, 19-year-old, and going, that dream that you've had from 4 years old of, I'm going to play for Man United. That was the dream. That, you had when Ronaldo and Van Nistelrooy and Toja on the walls, and that's what I'm going to be. And nothing was going to stop you. Literally nothing. You don't think of barriers and getting to that age and going, right, okay, I'm actually going to have to perhaps miss a bit of training to go and do these things. And yeah, it was tough mentally and tough individually, but I was very lucky to get the opportunity that I did. Took a grassroots team at Montrose, and I coached. I didn't take it at all. I didn't do any of the admin, didn't do any of the stress that comes with all you guys. So
lucky you.
The team was the biggest understatement in the world. I turned up and I was very lucky. It was brilliant, and I got to turn up on a Friday and take the session and then go home. So I was very lucky in that sense. But yeah, no, it was quite lucky.
Adam, just for those who don't know, what is the old Links Park Community Trust now, Montrose Community Trust? What's it all about? It's fantastic, by the way, but what's it all about?
Well, so the best way to kind of, so a lot of people think of football clubs as being businesses, and they are. Football clubs are businesses, but most clubs nowadays, and a lot of clubs, have also got a department within the club called the foundation or the community trust. Now, the community trust and the foundation, their role is simply to help the community. Use the power of football, use the power of the club's badge, and use the club's resources to help within the community. The first team are trying to win games on a Saturday. The manager, that's their job. The board, the board are very lucky Montrose are very lucky they've got a very good board that are helping with all aspects of the club. But quite a lot of the time, the club itself is thinking about the match days and the business side of it. And then you had the community. I think that now we're starting to such a link between the two. I mean, the three clubs that I've been at with Montrose, Southampton, and now Manchester United, seeing the links between the two are incredible. So Montrose Community Trusts, the charitable arm of Montrose, again, simply there to meet the community needs. They're not doing things that they think are showy, or the things that think are look good on social media. They look to the community and say, what do you need? They needed people, or they needed things to help with the schools and after school clubs. So we went and set them up. They had holiday camps. They now do amazing stuff within helping the schools with literacy and numeracy, and helping the schools use football as a catalyst to inspire and engage them. Similar to what they did at Southampton and what now we're doing with Manchester United and the foundation there. What does the community need? Is it elderly people and walking football? Of course, we can go and facilitate that. Is it people just looking for a kickabout, that 25 to 35 age group? We can facilitate that. Is it perhaps supporting those with our SEND or disabilities? Can we help them and support them? It's still a massive part of the community. And no, that's been the biggest thing, and being involved within communities throughout my whole footballing career it's been amazing, and it's been so humbling to be able to see how much the football clubs care about the community and seeing the impact that they can have.
I saw over lockdown period they had a service where they'd phone, I guess, elderly and vulnerable people just for a chat, and they would deliver them food and stuff like that. Massive. The power of a football club is massive. And for people watching who are saying, oh, it's just Montrose, in 2019, the Community Trust was nominated for an award. Is it More Than Football Award? Alongside some massive footballing names, just because they used the football to improve school attendance and, as you said, educational achievement and things like that. So again, the power of a football club and using that power, absolutely massive. Were you a part of that as well? Were you still at Montrose 2019?
Actually, 2019. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't 2019. We left at October 2018, so it had been later on. The one, Montrose. I mean, I think when we go on EFTN trips. So EFTN is European Football Development Network. So there's clubs all over the world. I've been fortunate enough to be able to go on a couple of trips myself and do staff exchanges with BTS Arnhem, and then we went to conferences with Paris Saint-Germain. And when you go there, they know Montrose. Yes, it's incredible feeling when you turn up to a place like, at PSG when we were there, and going, oh, Montrose, how's things? Oh, I seen that you guys were delivering within your secondary school, the School of Football. How's it going? And you're just blown away by these clubs knowing exactly who you are and the impact that they go, and their names known around the world. And I think that, and as I would say to any kind of young coach, any young player, if they can get along to some of these sessions and the sessions that you're doing, and any sessions really, but Montrose is special. And it's a special place for me, and the people looked after me so much, and the work that Peter's done, and Logan and Gemma, to get it from what it was of helping out with community sessions in terms of our school clubs, and now going across Europe to almost lead the way and share what they're doing within the community and in the schools and with the elderly. And they're now sharing the best practice and almost leading the way. And it's when I think of what Montrose has achieved and what Peter and the whole club had, not just the community department, the whole club's been behind them the full way. It's incredibly humbling when I think about it.
Yeah, Adam, my door at 360 is always open for anyone watching who wants to come along and observe sessions and learn. Always has been and always will be. I'm willing to share anything that I do. It's not a secret. We don't all have a secret sauce. We all do the same thing, just a little bit differently. And I was going to ask you if you managed to go on any trips through the trust and if you were incredibly proud of being a part of that achievement. But I think you've already answered that. What kind of coaching did you do with the community trust? What kind of age ranges and stuff did you work with?
Yeah, so my job with Montrose Community Trust was a club development officer, and I was very fortunate to have a it was a dual contract then with SFA. So I worked very closely under Ross Smith, who, again, I literally can't speak any more highly of. The most enthusiastic guy in football, and you have that. I don't think I've watched a session and every single kid hasn't left with the biggest smile on their face. I was very fortunate to work with Ross as well. But my role within the community was club development officer, so looking after and supporting, not looking after, that's completely the wrong term, but supporting Montrose youth and the community and the grassroots team there. So basically helping them with anything that they need, was basically supporting the volunteers. You guys give up. Now, to say you guys give up an incredible amount of time is an understatement. I never really appreciated it until I was starting to speak to the coaches and find out exactly, getting a phone call like 10 o'clock at night and they're still thinking about these sessions, or they're still thinking about or dealing with an issue, or they're, oh guys, I'm down at Kenny Park, or down at Brookville Park, and I'm just locking up just to check that go home. The hours that they give up is amazing. So at the community trust, again, it was another aspect of the community, that how can we help, and the grassroots club and was one of the areas that we felt that we could support in, still their club. It's not take over, not do anything, simply just support. So I was in helping with whether it's starting new teams, and it tied in quite nicely with the start of the Fund 4 Super Fives. So I was helping start the new teams there, so that when the coaches did come in, they weren't having to deal with the rest of the teams and things like that right from the off. And just whether it was helping set up new teams, help set up girls teams, and then occasionally delivering some sessions there and a couple of CPDs. But it was so good to see it. If I'm being honest, the more I think about my time at Montrose Youth as club development officer, I probably learned more than I thought, to be honest. Which makes me think about why they kept me so long. But it was so good to learn off the grassroots coaches and what you guys have to do. And it was so good to see. And as I say, my role with SFA was club coach officer, so I was helping other clubs, one of which was Kirriemuir, another brilliant club. A little bit smaller in terms of size of teams, and size of the number of the players that they were able to have, but the quality of the sessions and the quality of the coaches and the pattern was still there. And then also with Canusti again. So it was interesting to be able to see the different clubs and how they do things. I wasn't able to work with our both. Unfortunately, Ross already had you guys firing. So, but no, it was a brilliant experience to be able to do both them.
Great stuff, busy man, and Ross will be glad of the shout out as well. So Adam, how did you end up moving down to Southampton?
Honestly, the more I think about it, I think, what were you doing? I had one incredibly good life, and I was so happy here in Scotland. I had a good football team I played for. That was happy with that. I had an incredible job, a great team to work with, but I just got, when we speak to players about being in their comfort zone, and I think my comfort zone was just getting a bit too comfortable. And I've always said that I want to experience new things and work with new clubs and new teams and grow a little bit individually. And I think, I was 22 at the time. Obviously, as you start to get a little bit older, things in your personal life start to get a bit more serious. And you can't make big decisions on your own. So I felt that while I still could, I want to give a new opportunity a try. In an ideal world, I would probably have gone to Spain or Italy or somewhere fancy, but trying to learn a new language was just shocking. But to be fair, going to Southampton with a Scottish accent on me as well. I've been speaking Italian, to be honest. So yeah, I gave up all that, and it was tough leaving friends and family for the very first time. Very close to my family, so leaving them was tough. And I actually took up a casual role. I didn't even go down there for a full-time job. I literally picked up the phone and sent them. I seen that they were looking for casual coaches wanted. Now, I think what they meant was people at uni who had a free couple of hours to live in a school club. So I was fortunate enough, I just completed my B licence at the time, and sent them a CV and gave them a phone and said, listen, seeing this has came up, looking for new opportunities, how many hours do you think you guys could offer? And they said probably about 20 to 25, which was quite a lot. Salary wise, looking at a lot. But it wasn't about money, it was about just new challenges and trying to experience new things. And I went down there, didn't even have a flat rented. I literally just picked up my life, put in the car and went. Stayed in a Premier Inn for a couple of weeks, draining money while I tried to find a place to rent. Managed to get somewhere sorted, and then worked my way up from there and managed to get offered a full-time role within the Primary Stars team, again within the community, helping out within schools. Schools are a big thing there, helping the schools, whether it was working with their kids, literacy and engaging them. I 100% would have been one of them kids that we worked with at Southampton, where loved football, but didn't really like reading, maths, but I was always brilliant at geography because of FIFA. When you see all these flags come up in the capital cities, and
brilliant.
These things on Facebook all the time, and maths I could never really do. But if you gave me a league table and said, right, okay, there's 6 games left, 3 points for a win, 1 point for a draw, how many points can he get? Well, he wins all their games, they can jump up above them. Or if they draw a couple, maths wise, no bother at all. But unless it was in that football context, I struggled. So that's one thing that Montrose do so brilliantly, and I was able to transfer them skills over to Southampton, and we did a lot of stuff within the schools there, and just used football as a tool to help them. But again, they do amazing things in the community, and obviously being a Premier League club, it's the same work that Montrose do, no different, but just a bigger audience, I think, and they're able to capture more things, and as I say, kind of a bigger audience. But no, I love my time at Southampton. It was tough. And again, when I think about going down there with no real job, it was a casual role. And I think if lockdown happened, I wasn't on a contract. If lockdown happened at the wrong time, and I was in Southampton with getting offered no hours because there's no sessions. Again, I was very lucky, and it worked out for the best. But it was tough. It was tough. I'm glad I've done it.
Oh, to be young again and do things like that. What a learning opportunity though, mate, because that Southampton Academy and the staff around there are really highly regarded. Did you manage to pick their brains about a few things and watch a few sessions?
Yeah, so again, before I left, I was fortunate enough to get offered an academy role working with the pre-academy. So I was taking the Southampton DC, so Development Centre under 8s, alongside Max and Dan there. And seeing the facilities and what they could offer the kids. And I think the biggest thing that you noticed, and especially with being under 8s, now that was my first experience with pre-academy. Now, in Scotland, they don't start the teams until under 10s, so they're pre-academy 9s and in Southampton, they start under 9s. So the pre-academy is under 8s, 7s and 6s. So potentially, where sometimes you've got a 5-year-old at a session, which sometimes for some is far too young and they're very passionate about, not too young, too young. And again, there's no right or wrong answer. As you said, there's no secret sauce. There's literally no correct answer. But the best thing I found at Southampton was the forefront of all their sessions was the enjoyment of the kids. It was, yes, we want them to develop. Yes, we need to set standards. Southampton Youth Academy, it's a very big youth academy. The standards need to be high. What we expect from the kids needs to be high. However, when we say that, we mean shirts tucked in, boots clean. We mean the language they use, the way they treat each other. We don't mean you've missed the target 3 times in a row. What are you doing? When we say standards, it's not about the technical ability. Mistakes are going to happen. They're young, they're tiny kids. So when we say about standards being high, it was about things that they can actually affect and things that they have 100% control over, like their shirt being tucked in, like their socks being up, things like that. So we were really firm on that, but when it came to sessions, it was all about enjoyment. And as I say, to be able to experience Southampton Youth Academy and the coaches and the quality of coaches and the facilities that we were able to use, and it was mind-blowing, to be honest. I remember my first ever experience within Southampton Youth Academy was I got offered by one of the guys who takes under 9s. He said, "Listen, Adam, we're playing against Juventus in a friendly in the dome, in the big dome. Do you want to come and watch?" And of course, I'm like, "Well, I've got a few things I need." No, I'm like, "Yes, I'm there." So it was, managed to get, that was my first experience. So I just remember driving into the training ground and seeing this dome all lit up and going in and seeing the Juventus under 10s and 11s training alongside Southampton and then playing games. When I spoke of my comfort zone, I couldn't even see it. I couldn't even see my comfort zone. I didn't get near it. It was an incredible experience to see. But the best thing was seeing the coaches. Again, it was, no pressure on the kids. It was, come here, have a chat with them, let them go and play, and just letting them play. And that was the biggest thing, and that's the biggest culture shock. And sometimes when I think about myself delivering sessions a couple of years ago and 3-4 years ago, I cringe at some of the things I used to say and do, and the way I spoke to referees sometimes, and just, what are you doing? When I look back on it now, and I mean, everyone does it. I'll be probably in 3-4 years' time looking back on this video and going and just cringing, what you saying, man, what you doing? I'm cringing about my hair, my lockdown hair as well, but so there's so many things that I do look back and I wish I'd changed, but that's been the biggest one, was at Southampton. It was just all about the players. Every single thing that we do is about the players, from the equipment we use, the way that we speak, to the sessions that we send out, to the way that we speak to parents. Everything was player-centred. It needs to be. And that's why they're so good at producing players, is we make them comfortable and we give them as much as they can do without mollycoddling them. I think that, again, there's a fine line between giving players everything they need to succeed, but also taking a few things away and seeing how they're able to adjust with it. And Southampton, for me, I've got a perfect balance, and I generally can't speak any higher of the people there and the club itself.
Brilliant. You need a hat, Adam, if you're worried about your hair like I am. Your hair's fine, mate. Absolutely fine. You should see mine. I was going to ask you about Southampton and why they're so good at producing players. Obviously, if you're in an academy, your technical level is good anyway. Do you think it's solely down to the environment? They've built the perfect environment to not only produce players, but produce people as well.
Yeah, I think, again, you're probably not meant what you say, but I don't think there's a perfect environment to produce a player. There's no, but I know what you meant, but they've produced a top-class environment and they've found one that works. Does it work all the time? Have they had as many academy players as they want in the team, in the first team? No. Their objective is to have a first-team squad that's made up of 50% of the academy. That's their aim. They've got that everywhere. And they're very proud about shouting that. It's not something that they say, well, this is what we hope, but to everyone else, so that they meet their own aims. they shout about it because that's what they want to achieve. And I think that, again, it's producing people and players. I mean, you look at quite a lot of the academy players. I know that one, Lee, who takes under nines, used to be a player, used to coach with them. I used to play with them all the way up until he was a full-time scholar. And then the injuries didn't make it, but now he coaches with them. They're a club that look after players so well from start to finish. And no, it was, as I say, the environment there was special. Difficult things, hard to put your finger on. But as I say, if anyone's got the opportunity to go down and visit them or see them, 100% take.
Yeah, I guess it's difficult to put your finger on as well, because if it was that easy, everyone would just copy it and everyone would produce players. That's great. So how long were you at Southampton for, Adam?
So it was for a year and a half. So it was a year and a half I was at Southampton for. So if I'm being honest, would I have stayed longer? Yeah. Could I have stayed there forever? Work-wise, yeah. But it was just too far away from home. It was too far away from family. I struggled to really see myself settling down there. And then when you partner that up of the opportunity to go to a club like Manchester United in the community department there, it was just, for me personally, it was it the right time to leave? Maybe not. Could I stay there a bit longer and learn more? Yes. But I think the opportunity was too big to pass up, and the opportunity to come home as well. Well, closer to home a little bit as well.
Yeah, so you mentioned Man U there. What are you going to be doing when you eventually properly get started there?
Yeah, so it's a school partnership officer. So again, it'll be linking the community, so in particular schools, to the club. What can we as a club do, as Manchester United do, to support the schools? Whether that's, well, you've seen it recently, they posted something where they were able to make a very sizable donation to each school. So whether it's kind of financially, so that they can help with producing, PPE to make sure that schools are ready for kids to come back and the kids feel safe. That was something that they could do, so they did it. Whether it's helping the pupils individually within literacy and numeracy, whether it's supporting with transitions from primaries to secondaries, supporting with transitions from secondaries to universities and colleges, and apprenticeships. And again, it's hard again to say exactly what we'll be doing, because it's so unique. What one school need and what one environment needs and what they want might be completely different to the next. And I think that's the best thing about Manchester United and Southampton Montrose. It's answering a call. You're not saying this is what makes us look good, so we're going to do this. It's how can we help? What do you need? Do you need a little bit of help or a lot of help? And regardless of the answer, they're willing to do so. So in particular, to me, I'll be based in a couple of schools. In particular, one's kind of secondary school and the cluster primaries, and supporting the link between school and the club, and whether it's helping with pupils with, again, literacy and numeracy, or whether it's maybe taking them to the museum and doing a couple of trips there, or potentially stuff at the training ground, and hopefully providing children with opportunities that they never would be able to achieve and never be able to do without the football club's help. And that's the big aim.
Brilliant. Are you going to be doing any coaching? Are you going to get the boots on?
Yeah, definitely. So as part of that, so that'll be kind of the full-time role. And then on the side of that, they run, so the football development department will run sessions in advanced centres within the evenings, things like that. So no, I'll definitely be getting involved in that and helping delivering sessions from that side. And as part of my role will be delivering football within the schools. But no, I'll definitely try and get the boots back on for coaching, and just going to be, again, kind of going back to the first step of volunteering, putting myself out there, speaking to me. Manchester United, could argue it's the biggest academy in the world, could argue it's the best. Potentially for me it is. They're producing young players, and the record they've got is incredible. So as I say, to even be allowed to go and watch, sessions is going to be an honour, and I'm looking forward to the challenges that might bring, and as I say, delivering within the community, and also hopefully potentially a little bit more is exciting.
What about playing, Adam? You going to get back to playing?
Again, I think I'm going to start with, I'm just going to embed myself within the club, be free at whim, Can you do Tuesday, Thursday nights? Yes, of course I can. Can you do Saturday, Sundays? Yes, of course I can. And then as I start to kind of get more settled and understand things, then yeah, potentially send the old message out around a few clubs. Can I go and train, please? Um,
Adam, you played last season though, didn't you?
sorry,
You played last season though, didn't you?
I did. Yeah, play last season again. I got a little bit lucky. One of the boys who I used to who used to work with at Southampton, he worked within the community. Cam Chug. He had a team at AFC Taunton, who what a brilliant club that is, by the way. Very good people involved, and they had their own community department. They helped the community themselves, so I was able to do a couple of things for them and help out with them. But yeah, no, I did love playing there, and it was brilliant. So I got called Angus for a year and a half. Apparently Adam wasn't Scottish enough. But apart from that, it was good.
I think you've been modest about your playing abilities, Adam, because I watched a few things on Twitter and you scored a couple of screamers last season.
Wasn't being able to free kicks and standing still, but in standing still and shooting, that's my area. That's if you got comfort zones. That's me right there. But no, I try and play as much as I can, and it's one of them. I think try and manage to get a couple of goals in, but sometimes what you don't see on Twitter is the ones that fly 70 yards over the bar, and I'm having to give someone for a new wing mirror.
That's every demo I do at training sessions. Adam, what's that?
No, I was just going to say that's sometimes a tough one when you go and do a demo. You know, we always say on Coach Education, and Ross is one of the best ones at explaining it, but if you can't do a demo, don't do it. If you can't explain something that a kid can clearly see the skill and they're comfortable delivering it, let a kid who can do it deliver it so the other kids can actually see as a picture of what they need to do. Practice doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. They can practice something a million times and still get it wrong. But I just remember a couple of times, especially at Montrose, you go to a session, right? Especially when the stand is quite this, you go, right, come on, can you get the ball wide? Put the ball wide, and you steal them, and you go, right, give me another ball. You try to do it again. So you try to go through it. But yeah, there's a couple of demos have gone wrong, but I think it's one of them. Again, I always use it, say, listen, I did it on purpose to show you that everyone makes mistakes. There's nothing wrong with making a mistake. Try and word it that way.
Good recovery. What's the future plans, Adam?
Very kind of short term at the moment. I think get myself down to Manchester, get myself involved within the community there, and the club, and really kind of embed myself within all different departments. Of course, we're in such a strange period, and there's so many people that need help, and so it's one of them. How can we help? Whether it is the full-time role that I interviewed for, or potentially it might be doing things like Montrose done and going out and delivering food deliveries, things like that. So I think when we're in a situation like we are, everyone's attitude should be, can we help? And if you can help, go and do it. Then potentially when I first go down there, am I going to be doing the job that I interviewed for? Potentially not, but as long as we're a system in the community, that's the most important thing. As long as we're helping people in any way that we can, I'd say that's the most important. So very short-term goals at the moment, a couple of long-term ones, about being able to deliver more, and I'd say maybe start playing, but no, nothing too spectacular next. It's a difficult one when your end goal is to, now I've been very honest and said that Manchester United is, for me, it's the biggest club in if not the world, definitely in the UK, and where I've always wanted to be and see myself. So now that it's started, and now that the journey started, it's difficult. It's almost a bit, sometimes I pinch myself when I get an email and the email footer's got the badge in it. Yeah, very, very humbled and very lucky to kind of be where I am. So no long-term goals from where I go next. It's all short-term.
You're still really young. Loads of time to think about that. Last question, Adam. You got any advice for the young players watching? What they could be doing during this difficult period to stay active?
Yeah, probably potentially up to three. One of them kind of contradicts the other, but work with both feet. I'm seeing a lot of videos and a lot of people doing sessions, and it's magnificent. And I'm seeing them do a drill perfectly with the right foot. And I'm like, oh, perfect. Wait to see the next side, the way to do it with the left hand side, and then the video stops. You're good. Some of it, practice with both feet. When you look at players, and we make sure that they're practicing with both feet, make a completely different player. And the second thing would be, now we call them now at Southampton, brilliant coach, Max Hawkins, who works with the pre-academy at Southampton. He spoke to the players all about having their superpower. Now, it was very kind of child-friendly, very kind of underrated, so apologies for the slightly older players who are watching this, but if you've bothered to watch it, we speak about their superpower. What did you have that no one else has? Is it super speed? Are you incredibly fast? Is it a particular move? Is it a scissors? Is it the step over? Is it you're a great finisher? Is it I was going to say great heading, but not at that age group anymore. Is it something? Is it what one thing fits you and makes you better than everybody else in the world? And it's making sure that you're continually practicing that. So that would be the best advice, is to go and ask every single player, what sets you different from everybody else? One in your team and an else, and you make it even better. Don't be happy to just be. Because I was quite fast as a kid, and I never really worked on it, and that's why potentially now I'm not fast at all. If you look at any of the, if you did watch any highlights, but I got lazy to really work on it. Scored quite a lot of goals, but again, I thought that was kind of a tick box. A box is never ticked. It's never done. You never completed it. To make sure you keep working at it. And I suppose the last thing is, when you think about your comfort zone and you're training in isolation, when we think about comfort zones and saying, oh, make sure you get out of your comfort zone to do things. It's such a way of thinking that it's intimidating. It's an intimidating way of thinking of doing something that's outside of your comfort zone, because it implies that you can't do it because it's not comfortable. I think the best way to think about it is, you're in a bubble just now, and all these things are around you, like using your left foot, scoring goals, the number 7, all these skills. Just make your comfort zone bigger and try and absorb these things in it. So rather than moving out of your comfort zone and saying, oh, I'm going to practice my left foot, that's my comfort zone. This is why I keep bringing it up, because if you're working for my left foot, it's there for standing on. But when I think about using my left foot, I don't like the thought of, again, stepping out of my comfort zone. But when you start to think about more of it as unlocking it, when you play, so many kids play their video games now, and it's unlocking different levels and things like that, and then you start to relate to them. But guys, when you're practicing, how many things can you unlock? Can you unlock your left foot? And you unlock things, and can you start to put things inside your comfort zone bubble? But no, that'd be the best things would be. And the last thing is have fun. It's football. Of course you want to be playing games, but if you're not enjoying it, think of something new. Do something new. Do something that's going to challenge you. 100% enjoy it, and really try and challenge yourself.
Brilliant advice, Adam. I like that superpower one. May have to borrow that. It's a great one. Listen, Adam, it's been a real pleasure to talk to you today. You've been on an exciting journey that's not over yet, obviously. You've had some great experiences as well. I know the kids listening will have taken a lot of inspiration from what you've had to say, so thanks again.
Oh, thank you very much, man, and thank you for your time, and obviously well done for everything you're doing within the community to help the kids. It's as I say, in a time like this, anything that we can do to help, and you're definitely doing that. So firstly, thank you for that, and take care.
Thanks, Adam.
Magic. See you later.
See ya.